3, 2, 1.
Hello there, folks. Welcome back. You're watching Questing for Glory, Hope and Healing 2, benefiting Nami. We now have the fantastic Final Fantasy X AI tasks that your very generous donations have unlocked for us. But before we do, a couple of quick donations for you. $40 again, without a comment from Heel Turtle, but thank you so much for your generosity. And a $25 donation from Blue Aurora, who says, "Hello, my love. I'm so proud of you for all you have done on this game. The little one and I love you." Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
And
dear.
I will pass over to Coder Wilson. Please take it away.
All right, so we're going to get straight away into this, and then I'll talk about what's actually going on behind the scenes. The only key I'm going to be pressing is the Enter key to start the task, and then the game itself will load us into the pieces that we're going to do. So I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so what you're going to be seeing today is, instead of running the entire 9-hour game, which is not yet stable enough for a marathon, we're going to be loading into specific save files here and then doing some of the more interesting stuff for the Final Fantasy X run. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy X speedrunning, you would know some of these, probably many of these interesting things that we're about to do. So, what is happening with this run, which makes it significantly different from other tasks that are out there? We touched on this in the previous run, but the main thing that we're doing is that we've written code that looks into the memory of the game as it's happening, and then it responds to that by pressing keys, pressing buttons, using a virtual controller that we've set up to press to simulate an Xbox controller, for example. And so instead of something where it's frame perfect and we know exactly how things are going to move and we know we're going to avoid the bats from the last run, so that we don't have to have any bat encounters or whatever it may be, instead we are going to let randomness happen and respond to it. And none of that has really started yet. But what we're going to do is, let's say a battle starts. We're going to see in memory that a battle has started, and then when it's a given person's turn, they have logic to say, it is the turn for Titus, it is the turn for Eunice, whoever it may be, and then take action based on that. So it's very much, instead of being a pre-recorded, pre-planned, we know exactly how long it's going to take, this is very much a response and action type of tool that we've created.
Where are my man?
And so that's what we're working with here. That's how we're able to do a Final Fantasy task for 10 in a different way than we would ever be able to do it for another one. So what we're doing here, this is going to be the very first thing that we're showing off. We are positioning for the first skip in the game, and the battle's going to happen here. I think we just ran away from this one. We're positioning for the first skip of the game, where we're going to start a conversation with some people and then just walk away from it. Normally you'd be stuck and you couldn't walk away, but we're gonna start talking to them and then walk away from them while we're still talking to them. So you can see we just stepped up to that guy and started a conversation with him, and we missed it. So what's supposed to happen right here is you should be actually seeing Titus, walking to the side of the chocobos and walking up the screen, but unfortunately we've missed it. So it's very, very precise timing, and unfortunately this is about a 95% success rate, and we missed it.
That's how it goes. You've got a recovery, though, right?
Yeah, so it will recover. It will continue doing the same path action that it would have gone if we had control while we were talking to them, and it'll continue on to the next area.
How much of a time loss is that?
It is about a 45-second time loss, give or take 5 seconds.
Oh, that's not bad, yeah. That's actually a pretty big advantage compared to the type of task that we just showed, because you wouldn't be able to recover from that type of time loss, or from that type of change.
Yeah, it is a little bit of an advantage over that, I think the downside is that you have to account for every possible
break any
scenario
bones,
through
old
the
man.
entire run.
Right.
Yeah.
To give you guys an idea,
I won't go so easy on you next
I ran my last run before I packed up to come out here to the TaskSpot Studios. I got a really good run going, and then right near the end, about the 7.5 hours in, I got a 1 in 64 chance to lose the run just because of an item drop. And so it was less than a 5% chance to lose the run, and I lost it.
Oh, wow.
And I've never lost it there before, but that's how it goes.
All right, so what are we looking at now?
So now we're going to load into the second skip, and there's actually quite a bit of dialogue here that happens before the skip happens. But it gives me a good chance to talk about how we're doing the skips in this game. So in the memory, there is a flag somewhere that dictates whether or not we have control of our main character, Titus. And that, anytime you start talking to somebody, or anytime you walk into a cutscene, that flag flips from you have control to you don't have control. And I call these events. So anytime you trigger an event, the game takes away control from your character. So what we do is, instead of triggering one event at a given point in time, we're actually triggering 2 events. So we might talk to one person and then get pushed into a trigger for another event to happen, a cutscene or a conversation between people. And that's great, because then we can end the first event and get control back of our character while other people are still talking. And that's what allows us to walk around and do things while we shouldn't be able to do that. And that's basically the premise for all of the skipping that we do in this game, including if you want to just go check out something called the Jose skip, which is a skip that has happened one time using tools and was not able to be replicated using the same tools. So it is effectively considered impossible at that time. We're looking into it at this point, but that's how the skips occur. In that, basically 2 events are started, 1 event is ended, and we gain control before the second event, and all the barriers and all the invisible walls, all of those things are gone while that second event is occurring, and we literally just go somewhere else, which is pretty fantastic. We're going to do just a little bit of leveling up here, and then you'll see the attempt for the second skip. This one is pretty consistent. I'd say about an 85%, 90% chance. I haven't run it enough time to get a more precise percentage. So here we're actually talking to the guy that is at the bottommost of these 3 individuals, and then the topmost guy is going to push us into the next cutscene right there, and now we have control of Titus. So we're just going to walk away. We do get, in most of these, battles are actually still active while the conversation is happening. So you'll see we get in battle, and then everybody kind of gets back in position to continue talking about something else.
Titus just leaves Yuna behind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She magically catches up, but that's how the skips happen. So that right there, there's only about a few seconds of time saved there for that conversation, but it also skips another conversation that happens right at the end of this pathing here. So now this pathing, I included this specifically in the run because this shows off the more AI elements of the run. So what happens right now is that the program is moving us along the path we want to take for optimal movement, but also anytime we get into a battle, it's looking at the battle number in memory and then choosing the ones that we want to do to reach certain conditions. The first condition is we're going to get a battle, which I think is going to be this next one here, or possibly the one after it. And we're going to try to get a lot of experience by summoning one of the Aeons in the game, one of the giant friendly monsters, and then overdriving to get a lot of experience. And then the next battle, the second condition we need is to restore that overdrive that we just used. And then there's also an XP requirement before we can continue on. But the game is literally looking through and looking for specific battles that meet those conditions one after another, so that we can then get the experience we need as quickly as possible and then recover to a state where we're ready for the next boss. And again, shout outs to, I'm going to call out Crimson Inferno, the current world record holder for a few categories of Final Fantasy X. for a lot of the battle logic in here, a lot of the strategies in here, he actually programmed for this project. And he did a fantastic job on some of the later game bosses that are incredible. So you're going to see here that we continue to try to follow that battle logic of doing... there was the one big battle where we're getting a lot of experience, then we're going to recover overdrive, and then we might do a battle or two for experience. But at this point, I think I want to throw it over to see if we've got any donations.
Okay, thank you very much. We do indeed have a donation. We've received $25 from Dwayne and Linda, who say, proud of your accomplishment. Well, thank you very much indeed for
Those are
that
nice
generous
payments.
donation.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's amazing. Remember, all your donations do go towards NAMI. We are raising money for NAMI, and it has been absolutely amazing. I hope everybody is enjoying this amazing task showcase as much as I am. Right, back to you.
So is it a good time to talk about reading versus writing memory?
I mean, there's never a good time to talk about writing memory because that's dangerous. But yes, so the method we're using for reading memory and seeing what the game is doing on the back end, we can also, in theory, use to write memory and change what's happening in the game. That being said, it is effectively changing the game, and we generally don't want to do that because we want to play the same base game that everybody's playing RTA and having a good time with. There are, I believe... Okay, so for the showcase we're doing here, there's 2 pieces of memory that we're writing to, and the entire reason for that is because it allows us to soft reset the game without shutting it down and reloading it and changing where everything is in memory. So we are writing one flag to say the memory, or the map is map number 23. Shoutouts to Rossi from the speedrunning community for finding that. And then the flag to load the map, we set that to 1 so that it then loads us to the pre-game scenes where it cycles a bunch of stuff about the game. So for the showcase here, that's the only thing we're changing. For the entire 9-hour run, there is one place that we will change, which is the Blitzball Aurochs score. Why? Because I talked to the speedrunning community and they said, we hate Blitzball. We're actually changing the name of our Discord to the Blitzball Haters Fan Club. And so for us to cheat in that moment, really nobody cares. Everybody hates that as far as speedrunning goes. If you're playing the game casually, it's quite a fun mini game and you can have a lot of fun with it. But for speedrunning, it would be akin to about a 15-minute auto-scroller that can pause itself and make the time longer. So we all kind of hate it. So we do set the score there to 50 goals, and I chose 50 because it's a nice big number that we clearly would not reach by normal means. So it makes it so that there's a lot of clarity that we are doing this thing. The second place where we have about a 4% chance that we're going to write to memory, and this is because I've run out of time to make this a more legitimate strategy, is that right at the end of the game there's about a 4% chance for you to miss on a very specific attack, which for my run is effectively a game over. There is a recovery strat, it's not yet programmed in, so we can't yet do that. But so while we are continuing to develop this task, the hot fix that I've used is to intentionally I don't want to talk about this too. Intentionally, change the boss's health to something where it's not going to give me a game over. And that's the only reason we do it, and it will be fixed in a future iteration. I do want to talk about this right here. You saw Titus was running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That is specifically because we did not meet that third condition for experience gained and levels gained. So we are behind, and we are specifically holding on going up this next lift in order to get that experience. So this is the game this is the program responding to a condition in the game that hasn't yet been met. But we should be there now. I see Yuna has 3 levels, so that should do it. But that's the element of the AI that's going on here, where it's literally seeing what's happening in the game. Just like if you were playing it at home, you would see on the screen what's happening. It has a different set of eyes than that, but...
So what I heard you just say is that for the most part, you're only reading memory. You're not actually interfering with the game. In this case, the only thing you're writing to in this showcase is simply the reset. The rest of the play here is just reading values from memory and then responding to them with virtual intelligence.
That is 100% accurate.
Okay.
So this is an interesting way of using tools to assist a human in speedrunning. And I have to say, this completely hands-off approach is really different and novel compared to what we've seen in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So at this point, we've met all of our conditions, so we are not going to delay any longer. We're going straight to the next boss. But we're also going to reset before we hit the next boss, so we're not going to see that boss. It's a lot of talking and a lot of stuff. If you are playing the game casually, there's a nice little scene that would happen right at the top of this lift, and Waka kicks a cannon and then regrets his life decisions. I assume that kicking a cannon without shoes on would hurt, but because we got that successful skip a little bit earlier, we're just going to walk past the cannons.
Oh, nice.
That event does not play out just because the previous condition didn't happen. So, and then this is where we're going to reset and go to the next one.
Cool. But so you don't skip any. You never kind of like get a comeuppance from skipping any of these flags where like you can't. I guess are there any cases where like you could skip a flag, but then it like messes something up later and you can't skip it?
Not that I know of. The game was actually programmed to be extremely robust and extremely good against people skipping things. And these are like the outlier scenarios that the developers never found and they were never interested in. Right here, you'll notice that we're actually going to walk through a door and then walk back. And this is something we talked about earlier, you and I, Dwango, where this is running the exact same code and the exact same movement and logic and everything as the actual 9-hour run. I have it broken up into little pieces so that when we're running a certain section, that section happens more or less the same every time, with the variation being in the randomness that is innate within the game. So for the showcase, what I needed to do is to create a way to load into the game and then get to a position where we're ready to start one of those little sections from the full run. And so there what we're doing is we actually walk through the door once and then walk back so that we're in the exact same position as if we had come from the storyline that happens just before this point. And so that's why you might see that it looks a little bit weird. Why would we walk through a door and walk back? Well, it's not really RNG manip. It's more just like setting us up so that we're in that exact same spot to do the next thing that we're going to do. And I use this all the time when I was programming the full run, because you don't want to start at the game and wait for 8.5 hours for you to get to that part that you just programmed.
Right.
Yeah, that would make no sense.
Alignment walks. You were deliberately walking almost into walls and then where you're at.
That actually is just wall bonky because I didn't make it better.
Oh gosh.
You will see a little bit of an alignment here where we kind of get close to position and then just inch our way into the exact spot we want to be. And that's because the game knows exactly where we are, and so we can read that exactly. Oh no.
Oh, did we miss it?
We missed it. And this one, I haven't seen it missed in about 3 months.
Wow. That's never happened before.
That's not happened in months.
No.
So we're going to actually miss this skip, and that gives us, I guess, a chance to see the things that we're skipping here before it does the reset. So this conversation here with the lady with the green hat, this would not happen. And then we're going to go talk to the party, and that would not happen. And then we're going to walk into the Thunder Plains and have a nice long tutorial about how to dodge thunder. And that would not happen.
But what's interesting is the game is still functional. The run is still viable because you've allowed for this possibility.
Yes. So when I was programming it, and in a lot of the earlier iterations where I'd get it 10% of the time successful, you had to have a backup because otherwise your run dies. And then over the course of time, you maybe put in an hour here or 2 hours, and then a month later to try to figure out where is that exact spot where it works every time, except during a marathon. And that's what we're seeing here. Why would that second skip, and there's one more that we're going to try to do here, which is about an 85-90% chance to go.
Come on.
But let's check in and see if we've got any dominations.
I was just about to ask again, thinking that this was a good time, seeing as we've got a little bit of talking there. Okay, we have received a donation. I will just bring it up here. I did have it. There we go. We have received $10 from Joe, who says, Snow Light Smash. Well, thank you very much indeed. Not quite sure what that's referring to, but I hope it makes sense to you. And
It sure
thank you
does.
again for your very generous donations. Remember that all of your donations are going towards supporting NAMI.
Nice.
1 in 5 Americans live with a mental health condition, and fewer than 50% of adults living with these conditions will receive treatment each year. Many factors contribute to this, including stigma, lack of access, and lack of knowledge and resources. Every dollar you can donate goes towards supporting NAMI and providing assistance for those with mental health conditions, and it is an absolutely fantastic cause. It's an honour to be here helping raise money for such an amazing cause. So thank you so much, and we'll hand it back to Coder Wilson.
I see someone in chat asking if I'm going to make the task so that we have perfect lightning dodging. That is still on the horizon. I have yet to find the exact spot in memory where it decides if we are able to dodge lightning. And as soon as I find it, we'll be having perfect dodging of lightning. But until then, it's pretty 50-50.
Is there anything that folks can do to help in this effort? Where would they go to see more of what you're doing and participate?
Yeah, so that's perfect. If you want to come see about this and about some of the other crazy wild stuff that's going on right now, and let me also mention that the speedrunning community itself is working on a mod specifically for speedrun. It starts skipping some of these unskippable cutscenes. If you want to be involved in that, if you want to be involved in this project here that I've got up on GitHub, or anything like that, definitely come find us in the Final Fantasy X Blitzball Haters Fan Club, or you can find me and a lot of other task people in the taskbot as well. So either of those, come find us. And here comes this skip right here. And we actually have to finish dialogue with him first, and then we'll attempt the skip.
What are the odds on this one?
80-85%. So positioning, and then what we do is we actually move our character towards the cutscene and talk to him at a very specific timing so that both of those activate at the same time. We missed it. So we are 1 for 4 today.
Oh man, marathon luck.
So what we would normally do is that while we're there talking to the lady in the green hat, we would normally be running around here in the background, and then when the camera pans to face where Titus would normally be sitting, it just faces the door. It's a really cool skip, and I was so hoping this one would go, because we get to make all kinds of jokes about how Shalinda, the green hat lady, is talking to nobody. Literally, it's just the camera pans just like it would in a movie between the two of them, except that he's not there. And then you see him just running around in the background.
Oh man!
So that's one. If you want to see it, definitely go find it on the resources. And there's information about all of these skips in the speedrunning community. So definitely check that out, and you can see all of these crazy ones going on and actually working from the YouTube videos that they link there. So a little bummer about the RNG luck or the marathon luck today, but that's okay.
And that is the one thing that is a little bit different, because you're using virtual intelligence to act to what you're getting from real randomness that you can't control.
Yeah.
Just what we just saw with Final Fantasy, where with TaskBot pressing a sequence of buttons in order like a player piano, playing back a song in order, we're able to completely delete all of those encounters away, whereas this has got to deal with whatever its hand.
It really is a new flavor of task that hasn't existed before.
Not to this level of acuity by any stretch. This is very, very excessively intricate compared to the simple scripting that's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had another thought, and now I've lost it.
Oh, it's because I asked questions.
How dare you. Let's see, what do we have next? So this next section that we're going to show, there is actually no skips in here, and it's not anything you wouldn't do in a normal RTA attack. But what we're going to do here is show off some of the precision movement that we can do with this. because we know exactly where Titus is. Titus. Okay, donate to tell me which pronunciation is correct.
Oh, there we go.
But what we're going to do here is we're going to show off the precision movement, and you're going to see even more of it in the next section, which we call the egg hunt section. You'll see why in a minute. But I want to shout out Inverted from the TaskBot community for stepping up specifically for this movement tech that we have for the run now, because he programmed it so that wherever the player is and wherever the camera is, we will move in the correct direction regardless of those two factors. And that matters because the camera always faces Titus, and the camera will change directions constantly throughout the run. And so as the camera changes, your direction of up or right or left or whatever it may be also changes with the camera, which is absolutely wild. And we have no control over the camera, so it's not like we can just redirect it like you would in an Ocarina of Time speedrun or anything like that. In this case, we have to know those three variables, the camera, the player, and then also the target, where we want to go. And Inverted did some incredible work in programming so that all that we now need to know is the target. And so I have thousands of lines of code where all it is the target, and the next target, and the next target, and the next target. And so that when we reach a target or a checkpoint, I call it a checkpoint system, that we instead of continuing trying to get to that target, which we're already at, it just updates to the next checkpoint. And then we go towards that checkpoint, and we go towards the next checkpoint. And you'll see some really precise movement just in a little bit here where we are going from one point to another point, but we suddenly juke left in a very specific spot because I have a checkpoint right before the juke and right after the juke left, and we literally walk right between two spots that are both pretty responsive, and you can see them just right there above Titus. We're going to walk right between those two very precisely and then continue on to the spot we're trying to get to. So I did want to show that off here, and then you'll see that again in the egg hunt where the eggs are generated randomly. So the target is not a specific spot on this map or on any map. The target is a different spot every run.
So it keeps it moving around. So you have to do it dynamically.
Constantly, yes. And as the camera's turning. So shout out to Inverted. That has really unlocked some incredible time saves in this run.
Nice.
So we've got now probably about 2 minutes of this puzzle. Do we want to check for donations or ask any other questions?
I was wondering, since you're looking at memory, are there any places where you're looking at memory that would reveal things that wouldn't be visible to a normal player just looking at the screen?
So yes, we do have that ability to look at things that aren't on screen. If you've played the game casually, you should know that there's a scan ability that allows you to reveal boss health and any weaknesses, things like that. And we can look into memory and find that without using an additional turn for Kimari. That being said, similar to how we can theoretically write to memory and get an advantage, the pieces of memory that we read do not give us a significant advantage over players. I say significant because we will sometimes read a boss's health and see how much damage was dealt to the boss and then incur that same information.
Okay. But there's no cases where there's something that appears randomly off screen that you could see where it is?
Correct. There's nothing like that.
Cool.
The closest thing to that, and there was that juke right there that I just talked about. We walked right between two bright little dots, and if we touched either one of them, that breaks the entire puzzle. The one place we do the closest to that, and again, this is the world record holder guy I mentioned earlier, he programmed it so that if a player gets confused, that's a status that causes the character to attack party members instead of attacking, and you don't have any control over them at that time. And this is a status that is readily available to the player by looking at the screen and seeing that there's little confused symbols above it. In memory, we have to look for a very specific bit. Not byte.
Bit.
Bit.
Wow.
A single 1 or 0 that then tells us if that specific enemy is confused. And it's down to sometimes that level of precision that we have to go to find some of these things. Not often, because usually it's based on a byte or 4 bytes or a floating point number. These are computer science terms for those of you that are not familiar with that. But occasionally we go down to, is this bit a 1 or a 0? Disregard all other bits in the byte. And so, yeah. And then real quick, we're about to see a boss, and we're about to see how we're dealing with that boss, which is going to be a little bit like Final Fantasy, the first one.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh. We're going to hit it real hard. Twice.
Oh?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So the current route for Final Fantasy X, for the speedrunning community, for this task, so on and so forth, is that instead of doing the old method, we get a bunch of items and we abuse items and Riku's Overdrive. No. We're going to make it a whole lot simpler. We're going to put a ton of the strength stat into Yuna, and then summon Bahamut,
Okay.
and then win.
Oh.
It's pretty glorious.
Is this strat possible for a real-time runner?
This is currently used by RTA for all categories, as far as I know, unless it's specifically the other category.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. I think this strategy was found, and I know someone's going to correct me on this, but I think this strat was found about 3 or 4 years ago, whereas previously it was entirely the items and overpowered items and overpowered overdrive and stuff like that. But no, we just attack twice now. And this is basically the strategy for the end of the run. As soon as you have, the condition is you have your full party, and you're not losing party members again. In other words, Yuna's finally been abducted for the last time, and we get her back. She does it 3 times, by the way.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, Princess Peach has nothing on Yuna.
So what are we going to see next?
So we're going to reset here, and we're going to go straight to the egg hunt, and then I'm going to shout out a few people and call it a run. How are we doing on the time? Go ahead and shoot out some donations if you got them.
Oh, we do indeed. We have they've listened to the challenge a little bit here. We've received $5 from Rob Draven, who says the lead character of Final Fantasy X should no longer be called Tidus or Tidus. I propose we call the lead character Meg Ryan. Thank you very much for that. We've also received $5 from Sinfire Titan, who says Eevee is adorable. Who wouldn't want one? And that's referring to our fantastic Eevee and shiny Eevee plushes that are available as prizes for a minimum $5 donation at the moment, but I believe they're cutting off soon. So if you want to get your donations in and be in the draw for those adorable, cute Eevees, then please get donating. Remember, it all goes towards Nami. And we've also received a $5 anonymous donation, also in the draw for the Eevee plush, without any comment. But thank you so much again, and back to you.
I actually want one of those EVs.
Yeah.
All right, so this is going to be the egg hunt section, and this is going to show off the absolute. When I started this project, I had no idea how we were going to do this. In fact, my first shot at this is we're just going to run around in a random-ish pattern, maybe a preset pattern, until we finally find these. But you'll see to egg and pick up each egg one at a time, watching any of the. Yeah, we might get one, we might get two. There's a little bit of luck to it.
You had an amazing dodge on one of us. That was
yeah.
cool.
And again, this is, I mentioned inverted again, I have to mention him again. This logic, both the movement to the eggs and around the icicles, this is huge on him. He did basically this entire section and sent it to me and said, make sure this works. And it worked. And it was great. We did get one icicle there. There's a little bit of a chance that we do that, and that's fine. You actually mentioned earlier that is there anywhere where we have an advantage? We can see something off screen. This is the one place where we have a bit of an advantage over an RTA runner because you can't see what's behind the camera, but the program that we've written can see that. All right, so this is going to be where I want to shout out some people, some very specific people. First of all, I have to shout out my wife, Blue Aurora. You guys saw her donation at the start. She has been putting up with me with this project for over 2 years now. And this has basically been running for the last 2 years.
How many hours are in this again?
Just shy of 7,000 hours.
My goodness.
That I've put into this.
Wow.
And I apologize to the staff. I'm going to mess up the screen now a little bit.
We won't see it.
Yeah, it's cut off.
Yeah, okay. But my wife is literally the best. You guys have no idea how awesome she is. Shout out to Dwango, the Axeman, and again, Inverted from the TaskBot community, with whom this event and or the project probably wouldn't have happened even in the first place. I'd love to talk more about that, but we are definitely short on time. Rossi from the Final Fantasy X speedrunning community for finding pretty much all of the memory references that are here. He got me into it, and I've started finding things myself, but he is an absolute beast. Super critical into that speedrun cutscene skipping mod that's being developed. Also, Crimson Inferno from the speedrunning community, the guy that holds all those world records, he's also working on that project. High Spirits from the Quest for Glory staff, and really all the staff from Quest for Glory. Thank you guys so much. And just tons and tons and tons of other people that have helped me along the way to this specific project, and for Questing for Glory, and for everything that led up to really this moment right here. So thank you guys all so much.
Absolutely. I'm Dwango AC here with the Axeman and Coder Wilson signing off for this part. Please be sure to tune in for another NAMI fundraiser coming up the day after Thanksgiving. You'll find Taskgiving happening 26th through the 28th of November, also benefiting NAMI. So be sure to check it out at taskgiving.org.
This run is going to be in there too.
That's right.
And we might get more than one skip.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We'll get another shot at this.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for all that you have done. I'm going to throw it back over to our wonderful host. Thank you so much for letting us show this.
Thank you so much again, Dwango AC, Coder Wilson, the Axeman. Absolutely amazing stuff there. TaskBot is just amazing, and it's been an absolute honor to be here for this little block here. We do have a couple of final donations for you. We've received $175 from the always wonderful Sporadic Erratic, who says, all I gotta say is Dual Blades for the win. And that puts the Dual Blades in the lead for the Monster Hunter World run, which is coming up very, very shortly. And we've also received $5 from Miles Foxling, who says, this AI task is amazing. Super impressive to see, and I can't wait to see it eventually completed. Well done. Well, again, I cannot say enough how amazing that was. The amount of time and effort going into these things is stunning. So, we will leave you with that. We've raised $27,578. I will be handing off to Sporadic Erratic for the next run, which is going to be the Monster Hunter World. So please stay with us. Please keep donating towards NAMI. Questing for Glory, Hope and Healing 2 continues after a short intermission. Cheerio for now.